Welcome to Branding Your Business with Serifix, where we talk about branding with many talented and experienced designers and entrepreneurs. Let's learn together how we can improve our business through branding. Your host, the Serifix team, will be taking you on this journey. Let's build a community together. Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode on Branding Your Business with Serifix. I'm your host today. My name is Elisheba Ham-Ola. I'm founder of Serifix, and today we're going to be talking about, getting comfortable with rebranding. Sometimes when we get clients at Serifix, most of them come without a brand identity, say they want to do packaging for their business. And they come and we ask that, okay, send your brand style guide or your brand identity guideline, because then whatever designs we're doing outside of your logo and your brand style has to go with your brand style. So if you already have a brand identity set and you go to somewhere else to get your, let's say, products packaging done, they have to follow the guidelines of your brand identity. So then we ask them for that and they're like, oh, we don't know what that is, or we don't have that, we just have a logo, and then they send their logo to us and that's just all they have. So then we now suggest to them that, okay, you're coming here to do maybe your packaging, for example, but we can also do your brand identity if you're open to it. But then some of them are like, they're not sure, they're not really, the idea of changing their logo is kind of like a lot for them, because one, they've paid money for it in the past. Two, they're already used to it and they feel like their customers are already used to the logo and everything, right? So things that come to their mind would be, will people forget their business? How would they know that it's them? Things like that. And then for the fact that they spent money on it, they really don't want to let go. But there are some certain things that I think, entrepreneurs and business owners should know so that they can get comfortable with the idea of rebranding. Because rebranding can actually be a game changer for your business if you don't, if you do it the proper way, rather. Like, for example, Kudi just rebranded to Number. I think they just launched the brand about a few days ago. And, a big company like that, a tech company doing a rebrand, means that rebranding isn't actually a bad thing. So when first of all get accustomed to the fact that rebranding isn't a bad thing. So before I continue, I just really want to let you guys know that our community has been growing, and if you really loved our last podcast and the one before that, do well to share the podcast to as many people as you can, as many business owners as you can, because this is just the beginning and we're taking it step by step to be bringing on people to talk to you about branding and how branding has affected their business in general, and just get you guys accustomed and comfortable with the idea of branding, right? Because we feel like it's very, very much needed in Nigeria, right, and Africa at large. So do well to share the podcast to your fellow business owners, and yeah, let's go on. So first of all, to combat this fear that you have or this discomfort about rebranding, first one is to know that rebranding is not a bad thing. If big companies are doing it, then there's really nothing wrong with doing rebranding, but we need to understand how to do it the right way. So first of all, I'm going to go through the reasons why you would want to rebrand your business. If you have just a logo, right, you don't necessarily have a brand identity, right? You may have a perception already created, yes, but there's no visual backing it, right? It's just here and there, here and there, here and there, and then people can just decide to think what they want to think, and it's not tailored, it's not strategized, it's just all over the place. Obviously, people will know that your business exists, but that defined perception is not there, right? So in that case, you don't even have a defined brand to begin with, right? But I would still call it rebranding because there is still a perception that people have of your business because you started running. There are other things that go into creating that perception, like your marketing and all of that. So because of the marketing and all the other activities that your business would have been, doing, that's why the perception would already be there. But then it's not necessarily defined because you do not have initial brand strategy or an identity designed, so that is why we'll call it a rebrand as well. Another reason would be the example that we gave in our last podcast, right? When there is a brand identity clash between two companies, so like Carrier and Carrier-wise, how they were clashing, for whatever reason as to why it happened that way, it happened. But then there was now a clash between the two, and they started to affect their customer base. So carry-wise customers will start thinking that carry is part of their, one of their products and all of that. So in order to combat that situation, a rebrand can actually solve that problem. So that's another reason. Another reason would be a development in your business. So let's say you were doing I would say a development or an upgrade of your product or change in vision. So I'm going to explain. The three are kind of intertwined, but they're different, right? So change, new developments. Maybe you became, maybe from a sole proprietorship, you became a venture capitalist that started to offer services to other countries, right? Your demographic has changed, right? And your sense of product development has changed because you now have a venture capitalist on your firm. Definitely you get having equity in your firm, rather you get equity, funding and all of that, so you have more resources to do more things. So because of that, you decide that okay, we want to rebrand to fit the new market that we're going into, because then you're now going to be offering services to other countries. So that's a totally new demographic that you will have to attract, right? Then change in vision. So let's say obviously your vision will obviously be accomplished. Let's say your vision was to your vision was to be the top mobile app for entrepreneurs, right? And then you've achieved that, right? This is an example. You've achieved that, and then you don't want to obviously stop your business because you've achieved that. You want to move on to the next vision. So you can decide, okay, you want to rebrand and say, okay, we want to be the best app for entrepreneurs and venture capitalists, for example. So change in vision can also be a reason as to why you want to rebrand. And the last one is upgrade of product. So this one now is not anything about venture capitalist or change the demographic or anything like that. It's the change in the product itself, right? So let's say initially you were creating a mobile app for, let's say, financial recording, right? For example. And then as you moved on, you've already done that, you've had customers, you've been able to have a lot of reach, revenue and all of that. You now decide, okay, instead of just recording of finances, and you want to go into payment, which is banking services. Now you're moving from one industry to another, or not necessarily industry, but one part of the industry to another part of the industry. So then that would require you to rebrand, right? That's a reason as to why you want to rebrand. Though all these choices are not especially the change of product, especially if it is still offering, if it's still targeted to the same demographic, right, or the same user, it is not necessarily compulsory for you to rebrand. But then for the other examples, though, I've given instances as to if you will do the rebrand or not, and if it's necessary or not. So those are the reasons why a person or a business rather would need to rebrand. So let's get into the tips that we have for rebranding processes. So the first thing is that when you want to rebrand, you don't just rebrand out of the blue. You don't just come one day and just post, this is our new logo, No, that's not how rebrand works. Rebrand is a strategic process, right? You need to first of all settle down and plan your rebrand. Now, let's say your business falls under one of the reasons that I mentioned above. So I'm going to use the example of the person that is upgrading their products, right? So they're moving from one part of the industry to another part of the industry, right? So they already know that this is where they're heading, right? And then they will have a strategy in place, because at that point in time, you're going to relaunch your product. So the recording app is already existing and it's already been marketed. You have customers and everything, but now you want to introduce an upgrade to the products that you already have. So for that upgrade, you're going to obviously market it all over again. So you're going to have a launch strategy and all of that. So what you want to now do is incorporate the rebrand launch strategy into the product launch of that app. So basically, you're going to do the two together. So you have to settle down and build up a strategy. What is the first thing I'm going to do? Why do we need to do this? You know how strategy goes, right? And then kind of create a timeline of activities, and then the results of each activity and how they're going to correlate to passing out the information that you want to pass out to your customers, right? Potential and new present and potential customers, right? So that's one thing. Secondly, timing is very, very important. You don't want to be launching your rebrand when maybe there is something that's not necessarily good happening in the industry, or you're launching it at a time where everybody has, let's say you're launching something that is like on a retail side, or maybe you have a product that you're selling, maybe shoes, bags, and things like that. You don't want to launch it when everybody's money has finished, like end of the year when everybody has spent their money on Christmas and stuff like that. You now still want to launch, except if it is in relation to the Christmas event of that time. Do you understand? So you want to pick the right time to launch your new brand identity, which is a strategic decision that you have to make, that marketers and brand designers can actually assist you with, right? Another tip would be, don't handle everything on your own. Don't say, I'm the owner of the business, I'm the one that knows what's best, and then start doing everything by yourself. It would not work out well. Work with the necessary professionals that you need, because see, that's just the honest truth, right? I, as a person, right, I have a tech product that I'm working on. I don't have so much expertise in marketing as I have in business development and branding, right? So what did I do? I brought a marketing personnel to come join the team. It's as simple as that. Like, don't try to do what you, especially if you're aiming for perfection and you have the avenue to get those people on ground. Don't hesitate to get them on ground, right? If you're just starting out, which we're not even talking about that right now, because if you're rebranding, means you already have a business established. So we're not even talking about that. So except for if you're starting out and you don't have capital or anything, that's a whole different case entirely, right? Which we'll still deal with later on in episodes to come, right? So always work with the right personnel for your rebrand project. Okay, work with marketers, work with brand designers, work with legal team, whoever is going to be necessary for your rebrand process. Now I'm talking about the product itself and not just the brand identity. That's why I said the legal aspect, financial aspect, and all of that. Just work with everybody that you need to work with, right? So those are the tips that we have for you. So now let's move on to the processes. So the first thing is to come up with a new brand strategy, like a whole new brand strategy. The brand strategy would be in line with the product that you plan to create, or whatever reason as to why you're rebranding, is going to go along with the new demographic that you want to attract, or the new vision that you want to achieve, right? So the first thing is to do the brand strategy. So brand strategy is basically you mapping out how you're going to create the perception in the mind of your audience. So basically, from your vision to your mission, your purpose, your product, your brand voice, your market positioning, your new marketing strategy, your new marketing plans, stating who your new audience are and things like that. That's basically what makes up your brand strategy. Again, if it's something that you cannot handle by yourself, work with someone to get that done for you, right? So once that is done, you start to now work on the visuals. So basically, your brand strategy will kind of like open your eyes to the non-visual aspect of your brand, and you would have figured it out by the time you're done with your strategy. So you don't have to go through all that all over again, right? It's the same thing. So once you're done with that, then you start to implement your strategy, right? So the first thing obviously is to create the visuals for your new brand identity. So which will be your logo, your new color scheme, your new patterns for your brand, new unique elements. So let's say if it's geometric shapes, images, come up with your imagery style, all those different things that you need that would be defined by your brand strategy. Your brand strategy will let you know what elements you actually need for what visual elements you actually need for your brand. So that's basically the next thing to do. And then the last thing will now be to come up with your launch strategy. So how are you going to launch? So your launch strategy would be more on the marketing side. So you'll be doing more marketing work on the launch strategy. So posting of your new brand. How do you want to, like now, for example, Number, what they did was they first of all did a secret review. So they posted an image where Kudi was on top, and then the middle of Kudi was being torn open like a paper, and then the new logo and new name was under. Also, I forgot to mention that you can also change the name if you are doing a rebrand. It's possible to change the name if you're doing a rebrand, though it's going to affect a lot of things like your corporation, your incorporation. You have to do your change of name with CAC and all of that, but that's by the way. So yeah, that was what Kudi did, right? And then after that, they posted something new is coming. The new name they used was Number. So they posted a video where numbers were like flying around, and then next one they posted a countdown of numbers, and then next one they posted like a number shuffle, and then told people to take a screenshot and then let them say what number they got, that kind of thing. And then very soon, and then after, they now launched the logo, and what they used was t-shirts. So what they did was they sent t-shirts to a lot of celebrities and told them that they should wear the Kudi t-shirt, and then make the impression that the Kudi t-shirt was not okay, and then change to the Number t-shirt. So that was the strategy that they used. So you see, on their page you see a lot of posts of celebrities changing from Kudi t-shirts to Number t-shirts, right? And that was how they did all that. And then I think it was yesterday evening, or sorry, let me just say Wednesday evening, because this is not going up today. Wednesday evening, they launched a documentary of why they changed their brand identity. That's another thing. Now, it is important to have a documentary video that states why you changed your brand identity, why you changed your name, why you changed your logo, what exactly are you trying to achieve with this new brand, and all of that. It's very, very important, because that's where you're going to define what people are going to think. You don't just post things out there without telling people what they're supposed to think, because if you don't, they will think what they want to think. So even if you're just starting your business and you're not even doing a rebrand, you start your business, you launch your products and everything, it's good to have a video, not necessarily a documentary, because if you're starting, it's not necessarily needed for you to do like a professional documentary type of video, but you can just do a sit-down video and just talk about your brand and what you're trying to achieve, and let your audience or your customers know that this is what you're trying to achieve. That's another way of painting perception in the eyes of your customers. So if you're doing a rebrand, and that is very, very important, very paramount for you to do that video, right? Documentary video stating that this is the new brand that we have. This is why we're doing what we're doing. This is why we rebranded. This is the new product we have, the new vision that we have. These are the new people we are going to be offering services to, and all of that, right? And once you're done with that, you can start to launch your products. You can start to do your sales. You can say, okay, you're doing a rebrand sales, and you're doing a relaunch sales or something like that, right? So that's your process, overall rough process of rebrand. So rebrand is not necessarily something that is bad, and it's not that if you rebrand now, they will forget your brand, nobody will know who you are again, all those type of stuff. So I hope I've been able to combat that thought and that fear, kill the fear in you as to rebranding. And I really hope that you're actually more comfortable with branding. If you're one that needs, if you've listened to this podcast and you feel that you need to rebrand, you can definitely reach out to the Serifix team. The links to all the contact information and everything is everywhere on the podcast. You can just get through to us, and we would help you figure things out, and you can talk to us as well. We offer free consultation, to anybody that comes to us. Presently, as of now, we offer free consultation. It will soon get to a point where we'll stop doing that, actually. So if you have questions, be free to ask. Just send us a DM on Instagram and we'll respond to you. We have our phone numbers literally everywhere. So send us a message on WhatsApp, Telegram, and schedule a talk, and we'll have conversations and talk about your business and how you can use branding and proper marketing to improve your business. So I'm so happy that you guys joined this episode today. Sorry it was just me, guys, but let's just say that we have great stuff cooking up for you. So you guys should subscribe, follow, all the whatever buttons it is, join the community, because we're on different podcasts right now. So also Apple Podcast, we welcome you. Apple Podcast came on late, so we're just going to put in the welcome here. So we're live on Apple Podcast. We'll actually be live for some days, but we haven't made an official announcement yet. I think the official announcement would come along with the post for this particular podcast. So check us out on Apple Podcast. Use Apple Podcast. We're also live there. Thank you so much for joining today's podcast, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.